we want to still have a Sudan at the end of the day. My name is Lina Mustapha. I'm from Sudan, and I work with WFP, specifically helping with the Sudan operation in the domain of communications to bring more visibility on what is happening and help raise funds as well. When the conflict erupted, I was not in Sudan. My parents were there, my extended family was there, and a lot of my friends were there. So it was a difficult time for us because everything happened all of a sudden. We went from having a normal life during the month of Ramadan to all of a sudden calling families and hearing the sounds of gunshots and shelling and explosions, and it was very hard to process. I had developed also survivor's guilt because I was not there, but my parents were there. So the fact that I could not help was a bit frustrating. So the only thing that I could do was just call and make sure they're okay and give emotional support as much as I could. The time when it started becoming a bit worrying for us emotionally is that when people started leaving and fleeing. At the beginning, people were still not accepting the fact that there was war, and they still had this linger of hope that it might end. So everybody chose to stay at home, including my parents. Nobody wanted to leave, because if you leave, then you accept the fact that, it's a war and you might not go back. I was working at the time with WFP in Djibouti. So I was talking to my parents when I could, because there was a lot of internet outage. There was a lot of network problems. So whenever we talked to them, we would hear in the background noises, sounds of shooting, to the point that it became normal. It became part of the background noise, and we would just focus on the fact that they're okay. So you learn to compartmentalize your feelings and your priorities. It goes to a point where, in order to carry on and push to be able to go through the day, you would have to just focus on the positive. And the only positive at that time was that your parents or your family members or your friends would be just safe. That's the only positive thing you could think about. So it kind of creates that detachment. You force yourself to detach yourself from anything that is of materialistic value, but also of emotional value, so such as homes and memories and childhood, homes and anything that is, that kind of creates your identity. And so you start to just forget about everything and just focus on that, the fact that, okay, my parents are okay, the people that I know are okay, even though they're exposed to a lot of danger, but this is what I have to focus on in order to get strength. That was what was giving me strength. So I woke up one day and I didn't have any news from my parents. Hours later, I learned that they were on the road, but not from them. So it was very hard. I panicked a lot because I didn't know how they left, when they left, where they were going, who they were with, what kind of, route they would take. Only to a few hours later to receive a message from them just saying, we're okay, we're on the road, but then nothing. So for days, we wouldn't get a lot of news, so we didn't know anything. When I talked to them after that, they said that they had to take multiple buses, and even the bus drivers, they didn't know where the next stop would be, so they would be calling other bus drivers to know the safest route. They had spent over a week on the road, including 4 days at the borders waiting for their papers to be processed. They would sleep outside in the middle of nowhere, no shelter, no food, no clothes, just what they had on. When they arrived at the border, we were able to text with them, just write to them. They would respond, but they would undermine the situation. They would just say that they're fine, they're with people they know. So at the end, when they were at the border, they were with some of their relatives, and then they were able to make friends on the bus because they were all sharing the same struggle, but they kind of undermined the situation to not have us worried about them. When you see your own country being destroyed. It's a very hard feeling, and it's very hard to accept. But also when you're away, not, with the people, when you're away knowing that, you have relatives and family members and friends stuck there, but you're lucky enough not to be there, you kind of develop this sense of guilt that you need to do something to help you. If you haven't lived it, then you need to at least contribute in a way. So immediately when I learned, I proposed that I could help in any way possible. So when this opportunity arose of me, coming to help the Sudan operation, I didn't hesitate. When you live in Sudan, there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of daily problems related to the economy, inflation, a lot of issues, but the warmth that you find there, you don't find it somewhere else. I don't know if I'm biased because it's my country, but you meet a lot of kind people, a lot of people who love to share and be generous regardless of the situation that is economically difficult. People just live closely together, they help each other. You can rely on people. They love to celebrate small and big moments together. They're very close-knitted. So whenever I go to Sudan, I always go back because of the people. Leaving Sudan was not a choice. Nobody wanted to leave their country. We all love our country. So being internally displaced or becoming a refugee from, all of a sudden, or having to flee your home, your childhood home, or, everything that has to do with your identity was the most difficult choice. A lot of people refused at the beginning, including my parents, to leave and to accept that we might not have a country to go back to. So it was not a choice. So the people are still holding it together because of that small piece of hope that they still have of, going back to a country. What I want is for the international community to help the Sudanese people in restoring that hope, in rebuilding a country to have a better future for our parents, for our brothers and sisters, for our friends, and mostly for the future generations. We want that the people after us, our kids potentially, know Sudan and live in it and share the amazing values that we were able to share together. And we want to still have a Sudan at the end of the day. WFP has mobilized their team to try to be on the ground regardless of the situation. So right now we are on the ground with staff that is also in different areas. We have faced a lot of challenges, especially in terms of access to certain areas, especially West Darfur, which was very hard. The main focus of WFP right now is to provide life-saving assistance through food, whether for children, for pregnant and breastfeeding women, for people in general, anybody that is exposed to food insecurity in the midst of this situation. There's a lot of supply shortages in food, water, electricity, and everything. So anything that could help, is essential. So right now, WFP is focusing on providing food where they can. We're trying to expand the help all over the 18 states of Sudan. We are doing what we can with what we have, but there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot of people that need to be reached and helped. There's still a lot of people that are struggling and facing acute malnutrition and famine, if we could say that. And I think now WFP is able to help, but we need more support financially to be able to help more people.